During my time on the job with LAPD, I've dealt with a lot of so-called protesters who crossed the line. But this one takes it to another level. Take a look.
Our squad is behind. If you can bring your squad up in a fire extinguisher, it's on the back side here. It's just some garbage on fire, looks like. I got the fire out for the most part on the outside. There's going to be some structural damage though. Looks like it came from in here.
Can you move your car, please?
I'm the one who did it. I set the fire.
You set the fire?
I set the fire.
Why'd you set the fire?
I don't like Representative Glenn Crawford.
So you set the building on fire?
I set the building on fire.
Alright, come over here.
I have a pocket knife in my right jacket pocket.
Stand here. Where did you say you have it at?
I'm pretty sure it's in my right jacket pocket.
Number 3037.
It'll be covered in gas, so be careful.
Okay. You got your ID on you?
No, I forgot my wallet. I have a picture on my phone if you want me to get that.
Okay. You said it's alright if I search you?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, so first and foremost, let me tell you that in my experience, it's very, very unusual to have a suspect be that forthcoming. You know, the crook tells you, hey, I'm the one that did it. So again, this is something that is unusual for me. I'm probably speaking for a lot of cops where you roll up the scene, especially of an arson investigation. You know, you would think you're going to do some more investigation, which they're going to end up doing. But my point is that not many suspects, crooks, get to self-admit about what they just did.
You just want to take this jacket off of me? Is it covered in gas? Or?
It might be. I might be too a little bit. I didn't have a gas can that was really good to work with. I had
37 return on a 2014 Chevy Impala with Samuel St. Louis.
Alright, just go ahead and put your hands on your back, okay? You're not under arrest right now, you're just being detained, okay?
Yep. This guy that called it in said that he said it. Okay. Just so you know.
Is this a female that approached you guys when you guys put in the fire out, or
it's a male. He said he said it.
he set
the fire because he's unhappy with the Republican Party.
What's your first name? Caden, C-A-I-D-E-N.
You have the mail with you?
What's that?
You have the mail with you?
Like what?
The mail?
Yeah, he's in the back.
Okay.
Do you know those people in that car over there? I have no idea. They might have been the people who called the cops. Or you guys, I guess. Okay. Just hold tight, okay? Yep.
You guys know anything about this, or you guys the one that called it?
I called it in.
You called it in?
If you needed us or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
So when we pulled up, we saw a black car with the driver's side door open. And we saw smoke and you could see the flames.
Okay.
So as soon as we saw the black car, we backed off, and that's when I called it in.
Did you see anyone?
We didn't see anyone.
Okay.
But we weren't sure because we didn't get too close to the back of the building.
Sure.
We saw the car and backed off.
I didn't see the car door. The driver's
Yeah, the driver's side door
was open. Okay.
Yeah, we were delivering a newspaper here, and then that's when we saw the smoke.
Okay.
And then we went around the side of the building.
What's your first name? Okay. And then you two pretty much came to deliver a newspaper and then saw the black car.
Well, I smelled it from over there, thinking someone's brakes were burning.
Okay.
But then when we came over here, we saw a bunch of smoke coming from the side of the building. And so we pulled around just to see if because it looked like a fire. And we saw that black car there.
Okay, with the driver's side door
was open.
Did you see any smoke?
Yeah, we
did
saw
you,
smoke and you could see flames too.
You can see you saw flames too?
From behind the building, yeah.
Alright, sounds good. Well, thank you so much.
I do have a different address than him.
Sure.
Okay, so a couple of things worth noting. You know, these officers are investigating, becoming detectives, and that's exactly what you do, man. You do good police work because it looks like you have a felony arson is what you have. You know what? And we need to find out to see what are the statutory requirements for that particular charge. Now, the two witnesses just wanted to touch on the fact that you can do a field show up to see if they can actually identify the person who actually was setting off the fire. He already self-admitted. We got that. We got their information. That's going to be part of the investigation. And this consent to search the vehicle, look, if he doesn't give consent, then yes, we're going to have to get a warrant. But you know what? Time is not of the essence. You have time to continue your investigation further and gather more evidence.
All right, so I'm Officer West of the police department. I don't know if I have formally introduced myself.
Officer
Okay.
West?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So the first question I have for you, would you give us consent to search your car?
That's not mine, but you can go ahead.
We can search your car? You're in possession of it tonight, so...
All right, no.
No? No.
I guess you'll have to do it on your own. Yeah. I'm not giving you permission, but...
Okay.
Yeah.
The other question is, obviously I'd read you Miranda warning, things like that before, but are you even interested in talking to me at all tonight or no?
I'm interested in talking to you. I'll make a statement.
Okay, so if I read you your Miranda warning, you are willing to talk?
Yep.
Okay.
You know what? Good choice on the part of the officer. Let's get to the station, settle in, kind of gather your thoughts and the Q&A volley you're going to be having with the suspect to ask very specific questions as it relates to this arson crime, right? We don't know. We need the elements, and just start asking questions about why he's there, how it happened, if you used gasoline, if you didn't. In the car, we search it, we find other additional evidence, explosive matches, I think they were talking about, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a good thing. And I know that a lot of agency practice giving Miranda warnings on scene right there and then and say, hey, would you like to talk? And 9 times out of 10, they don't, for obvious reasons. I know if I got arrested, for something that's kind of questionable, I'm not going to talk to you unless, right, I have my lawyer present. Thank God he didn't ask for a lawyer right there and then, like all these other videos. Not that it's going to make it go away, like this lawyer's like, oh my God, I have him here, and the lawyer's going to figure all this out for me. So
Can you establish that he drove it here though?
Yes. He was in the, I would say, possession of the vehicle, sitting in the car and out of it when I pulled up. So that's on camera. So yeah, we're gonna walk this way. Okay. Or me going right at that door over there. Are you requesting any medical attention at all?
No.
I didn't know if anyone asked that. You were not yet. So let me just read this to you, and then there'll be 2 questions at the end, okay? Let's just start with, how did tonight start for you? I mean, were you at home in Menasha, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was at home in Menasha.
Okay. What brought you to Fond du Lac tonight?
To set fire to Glenn Grothman's office.
Okay. I guess, why, I guess?
Because of his role in voting for the ban on companies such as TikTok, which I believe is a grave violation of our Constitution. And in the past, unrelated to these, I have tried peacefully protesting, and I've done peaceful protests, and other people have done, and I think peace is not really an option anymore. So I set fire to his office.
Okay, so this is a lot to do over him voting to ban TikTok, is that correct?
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, he's my representative, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I'm just trying to understand, okay?
Right, yeah, no, of course.
What were you hoping of, what was going to happen tonight? What were you wishing to happen?
I would have liked if the fire was bigger, but it wasn't. And I would have liked if it would cause, I guess, inconvenience, harm to the facility, not to anybody in person, but to disrupt, I guess.
Okay. Did you think anyone was inside the building tonight?
No.
Were you hoping that anyone was inside the building?
No. I don't want to hurt anybody. Not physically.
Okay. So, what's his name again? Sorry.
Glenn Grothman.
Glenn Grothman, sorry. Were you hoping to harm him tonight in any sort of fashion?
Not him, no.
Okay. So more or less you're hoping to cause disruption tonight?
Right.
Okay. Did you want the whole building to burn down, or?
Well, no, since I know it has other, facilities in there, but, I targeted his, and if the others, had problems, then, collateral damage, but no, I wanted to, harm his building. And I know that he has other offices, and I know it might only end up harming me in the end, but I guess I kind of wanted to send a message that I was tired of the way that our country's going.
Okay. How did you start the fire?
With gasoline. I used a match.
Okay. Did you have, other materials, or?
No, just gasoline and a match. Or I had matches, but I just
Okay.
used one. So I knew I wasn't going to get in, so I just set fire to the electrical stuff in the back.
Man, I don't think it's just disruption. It's more than that, right? Come on. Can we all agree that this is very reckless and careless on his part? And yes, he's self-admitting and he's being forthcoming, but it seems as though that there's just deeper issues. The fact that he said that I try to do it peacefully, and you know what? That wasn't an option anymore, and now I'm just going to take it to a whole nother level. So I kind of feel like mentally, right, the way he thinks from his lens, there's just more to it.
So you specifically drove to Fond du Lac to this office for this purpose.
That's
tonight,
right.
is to set fire to the building?
That's right.
Okay. Did you buy like gas tonight?
Yep.
Okay. When did you get that gas?
Probably 30 minutes before midnight.
Okay. You said that it's your dad's car. Do you live with your parents?
Correct.
Or?
I live with my parents. I'm not.
Okay. Do they know that?
No, they had no idea.
They had
I
no
waited until
idea?
they were asleep.
You waited till they were asleep?
Correct.
Okay.
I didn't want them to be involved at all.
Okay.
I know. I mean, obviously, I know it's going to affect them probably a lot, but
It's going to affect them tremendously. The fact that their son decided to go and commit a felony, right, to just set this building off on fire. I mean, that's some heavy responsibility on the part of the parents to know that their kid is out there, acting like a criminal. It's as a parent myself, it's just kind of hard to wrap myself around. But yeah, they're completely 100% involved.
Do you have a job or anything in college?
yeah, I have a job. I work at Motomart gas station.
Nice. You in college or?
No.
No, not in college. Was there anything else you were wishing to happen tonight?
I guess just to send a message. I mean, I don't know if it'll be received. I don't know if either way. But honestly, I'm really tired of the way that the entire world is going. And honestly, I didn't really feel like I was throwing anything away because I don't really feel like there's that much. I mean, I have family, I have that stuff, but I mean, to be honest, I don't really want to live in a world that is going this way. And sure, we might have it better than some other countries, but I feel like we're going down a pretty bad path. And so maybe my actions were the most peaceful, but I don't think that peace is the direction we're taking. Or at least, no.
So you buy the gas in Nashville, you drive up here. When do you get here? What you said first? You're thinking maybe the front of the building, correct?
So, yeah, first
take me through what happened when you got
here. So I drove. I was on the highway 41 for a bit, and then I got off at the location of his previous office. I don't know the address, but it must have been a similar address or something like that, because that's where Google Maps took me originally. And so I got there, noticed the office wasn't there, obviously, so I needed to get matches because I forgot them at home. So I just went to a quick trip, got the matches, and then I left and went to the actual location. And first I tried, looking at the door and seeing, if it would have been easily breakable, and I figured probably not. Then I went to one of the windows on the side, tried using a little glass breaker that's meant for car windows on my knife, and that didn't work. And I figured I'm not going to stand there for 10 minutes trying to bash the window in.
Yep.
Did the next best thing because I was already kind of committed to it. I already done it, and I didn't really want to stop. So I just set the back of the building on fire. By the electrical stuff.
So is that
Kind of hoping there would be an electrical fire and that would be bigger if that's what you're looking for intent-wise.
Okay. Did you dump that gas just on the back of the building or on that unit there that was
on the unit, on the back of the building, kind of by where the wires are by the door, just kind of all in that back area. And I was going to try to lead it around to the front of the building, but I didn't do that because the wind was pretty bad. I didn't set myself on fire.
Are you the one that called in the fire then?
No, I wasn't.
No.
Somebody else called it in. I was just going to sit there and wait.
Okay.
Because I figured, eventually somebody's going to notice, so. I had no
Were you
intention.
planning on staying here the whole time until?
Yeah, I had no intention of escaping or anything like that. It was entirely my fault. There's nobody else who did it. So it was me. I intentionally did it.
I understand that. Obviously you're being very truthful with me. I really appreciate that. Okay.
Yeah.
That goes a long way. Okay.
Yeah.
Has your mind changed at all on that? Would you give us consent to search the car?
Honestly, I don't really want to. Besides me admitting guilt, I don't really want to make it any easier than it has to be. So, no.
Well, I will say during my time when I was a cop, it's super rare that you get confessions, right? Suspects that are forthcoming, that are honest and truthful, and tell you exactly what it is that they did at scene where they committed a crime. Now, it's also worth noting, what is the statute, right? So I did some research and I looked it up, and here's what it is. So in Wisconsin, the arson statute is the following. Look, it's a Class C felony, right, to intentionally damage a building by fire. So you need a couple of elements. You actually need 4, all right? First, you must intentionally damage a building using a fire, which he admitted to doing. The building must belong to another person, which it belonged to the congressman, okay? 3, without owner's consent. So we already know he didn't speak to the congressman. He did it at his own volition. He intended to do that fire. So we got that. And last but not least, it belongs to someone else, and there's no consent from both parties. You have that Class C felony right off the bat, and it looks like not only you're going to the Gray Bar Motel, and again, I think I said it earlier, where I think there's some deeper issues with Caden, because it's not just about TikTok. It's not just about committing this arson. I think it's more than that, and let's see if we can find out.
Yeah, number one, we're glad you're alive. Number two, it sounds like you've been going through a pretty difficult time. So, you know, I'm sorry that you're feeling the way that you're feeling. Mm-hmm. I understand, you know, that like you said, you had some disagreements, or you weren't happy with the congressman's decisions or behaviors or actions. Can you elaborate a little bit more about what that, like what your...
Yeah, so basically yesterday was also the day that that the ban that affected TikTok happened. And if it was just the banning of a single app, or if it was just, you know, TikTok going dark, that'd be one thing, you know, that just a single app, you know. But it kind of, it signaled the fact that our government is pretty much unwilling to cooperate in almost every case. You know, you hear about government shutdowns happening all the time. You hear about, you know, they can never agree on anything, and except both houses almost unanimously agreed on this one bill to ban this social media platform and others like it, just because it's not owned by America and we can't control it. And I know the details themselves are more specific, but and so that kind of, it really, I guess, in the most basic way, it bugged me.
Is it something that you had thought about doing prior to last night? I
had thought, not in terms of like non-peaceful acts, even last night included. I used to do peaceful protests for other sorts of issues too, and I guess I just found that it wasn't really doing anything, so I figured, oh, why not just take the next step? And, you know, obviously I think that was a smart choice, but I did it anyways.
Yeah, you kind of lost me a little bit too. Look, these are the criminal investigators from the state, I believe, or from the district attorney's office, asking further questions. As you can see, he's in his orange suit, so he was already booked, processed the whole nine, and he's probably waiting his arraignment date to continue with the criminal justice system. What stands out the most is that he did have suicidal ideations, and there's just a lot going on with his thoughts, right? And you got to feel for Caden, you know, you do. And the saddest part about this whole thing is the fact that it just seems as though he's not the only one that thinks this way. So, you know, hopefully these consequences, you know, teaches him a very good lesson.
Did you think about applying fire to the congressman's office?
Oh no!
Yesterday, last week.
That was kind of the first. That was kind of the first time that had kind of occurred, and it was mostly because, I mean, I was thinking about it, and I was kind of comparing it to, and other people were also kind of comparing the ban on TikTok to other, you know, events in somewhat recent history, I guess, from the last few hundred years, and, you know, obviously it's not the exact same thing, but they're kind of comparing it to, you know, times like, I don't know, and again, I definitely mean it's not the same thing, but like, you know, times like the French Revolution or the Boston Tea Party or something like that, where, you know, societies or people are rebelling against their government because they don't like them. And so I kind of compared it to that, and I was like, okay, so why don't, you know, I just do something like that? And that was, I guess, the main reason that I chose Glenn Grothman's office. I mean, another part of it was just because, I mean, most of the time I don't even know. Like, there's not even something concrete. Like in the past, there was some kind of cause. So now sometimes I just don't even know. It's just like all of a sudden I'm like, wow, you know, it's awful. And again, it doesn't excuse it, but, you know, that's part of it.
No, but it's difficult to navigate for you.
Yeah.
In that state of mind yesterday, what did you want or hope your actions would do? Did you even
to begin with, I hoped that it would just kind of, I don't even know, like send a message. I don't know what it would have even done, because I mean, I'm sure he has insurance. He can just, or with the building has insurance, I can just fix it. Like, it's not going to actually do anything. It's only going to affect myself. So, I mean, and I knew that when I did it, and I don't know why I didn't really think about it more than just that. So, I mean, it seems entirely meaningless. I don't even yeah, I don't know.
Well, you had mentioned like kind of likened it to like the idea of like a Boston Tea Party or something.
Right, just kind of like a protest, like a message.
Like that it would like invigorate more.
Maybe not necessarily
discord, or
I don't know necessarily invigorate, but just kind of contribute to. I guess if there's other people doing the same thing. I'm not sure if there is. That wasn't like part of the idea. It was just that I felt like at the time that it was just something that made sense to do.
We didn't make any promises.
No.
Did we treat you okay?
Yep.
I
know it'll be used, against me in law or court or whatever, and that's just how it goes. So.
I think both of us truly appreciate how easy it was to talk to you and how you take ownership of what's going on. Not many people in this world do that. And
well, thank you. I appreciate that.
I mean, it does go a while. It does go far for me. I mean, because not many people just take ownership of what they did, and that you're asking what ramifications am I looking at.
Come to think about the fact that I have some questions for Caden, I would have asked him something along the lines like, look, Caden, now that you had a chance to reflect on what you did yesterday, do you regret committing this arson? And see what he says. The question is, what have you learned about this whole process, right? Is there anything that you could have done different? Or, what are you going to get out of this besides the fact that you're going to be held accountable for your actions, right?
I'm glad that you're alive.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Because that's a decision that can you imagine what your relatives, how that would have affected them, affected us.
Yeah.
Having to sit there and deal with a death at a scene tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's also worth noting about the impact it has on your family, man, your mom and dad and your relatives. I mean, your actions really has that much of an impact, right? And you're going to have to go through what you're going through, and they also have to deal with that and cope with that as well.
Yeah, no, it would have been absolutely awful. But
absolutely,
you don't really think about that when it happens, I guess. No. Yeah, no. I guess.
Okay, so some final thoughts here. Look, setting fire to someone else's building, it's not a protest or a message. It's a serious felony with real consequences, okay? And look, this is a clear reminder that, political frustrations does not justify violence or arson whatsoever. Look, Caden, after you're done serving your time, and I know you have several years of supervision, please go and get the rehabilitation that's necessary for you to get better. In other words, when you reintegrate back into society, please be a better person, okay? And I wish you the best of luck. So Caden faced initial charges of arson of a building, making terrorist threats, attempted burglary, and criminal damage to property. He ultimately pled no contest to the arson charge. The court sentenced him to 7 years in prison, followed by 7 years of extended supervision. Ring that bell to be notified for the next upcoming episode. Smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Please comment below because we want to hear from you. If you would like to see me have conversations with other police officers about internal affairs and other law enforcement related topics, go to the Marlon Marrache Show, okay? Thank you for watching, and we will see you on the next one.